Have you ever texted a woman and feel the shift? One moment she's warm, the next cold silence. No explanation, just emotional distance. And you're left analyzing every word you sent. This isn't random. It's calculated. Women test silently through texting, subtle. Emotional warfare disguised as just talking. In this video, we expose 3 texting secrets women can't resist, and most men never even notice. You'll see how your lack of stoic detachment, your hunger for response, and your failure to hold emotional control hands her the power. But when a man masters the frame, she feels it, even through a screen. Because in texting, like life, whoever stays colder controls the heat. Understand female psychology, assert your value as a man, and flip the relationship power dynamic without chasing, overthinking, or explaining yourself. What if silence wasn't rejection, but the test you always failed? Point number 1. She feels your neediness through the screen. Have you ever held a woman in your arms and felt her slipping away while she smiled in your face? Not because she said anything, but because her body went silent. A hug that felt colder than her words ever could. You held her tighter, hoping to feel her warmth again, but deep down you knew. You were being tested, and not with words or logic. With silence. With softness that hides emotional distance. That's the part no one tells you. Men get tested in moments meant to feel safe. A hug isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it's the battlefield. Women test without announcing it. Her silence isn't always passive, it's a probe. She's not checking your love, she's checking your frame. Do you collapse when you feel distance? Do you chase closeness when she pulls away? That's the silent test hidden in every hug. And most men fail it by reacting, by need, by trying to repair a moment that was never broken, only rigged. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." You think you're losing her when she pulls back, but what you're actually losing is your inner stillness, your masculine center, because you never trained yourself to be hugged and stay unmoved. You confused warmth with safety, and now you're desperate to feel it again. The Stoics didn't just talk about indifference, they trained it. Epictetus was a slave. He didn't just lose women, he had no rights, no freedom, no status. But his detachment wasn't a weakness. It was forged in pain. He mastered emotional discipline because he had nothing else. And that's the link most modern men miss. Your panic when she withdraws isn't love. It's your ego unraveling. It's your untrained mind interpreting her pullback as a threat to your worth. In today's world, female psychology isn't loud. It's strategic. She may not even know she's testing you. But evolution programmed her to sense neediness, to feel shifts in masculine control, to detect subtle cracks in your presence. That moment you flinch when you ask, "Are you okay?" too quickly, or hold her tighter to reclaim something slipping. It tells her everything. It tells her you're reacting, not leading, that you need her warmth more than you trust your value as a man. And in that she loses trust. Not because you're emotional, but because you lost relationship power dynamics without a single word exchanged. This is where stoic detachment becomes armor. You learn to feel that coldness and not chase it. To embrace a hug like a mountain, still grounded, unmoved. Because her energy isn't your compass. Your peace isn't rented through affection. When she withdraws, you don't collapse. You observe. You remain. And in that silence, she meets something she didn't expect, a man who doesn't panic. A man who doesn't beg for warmth. A man who can let the moment be cold and still not break. This is your training. When her energy shifts, your stillness deepens. When her warmth fades, your clarity sharpens. The hug is no longer a place of validation, it's a dojo. You enter not to feel safe, but to stay sovereign. Next time you feel the distance inside the closeness, pause, breathe, hold her, but hold nothing else. Not the outcome, not her mood, not your need to be felt, just the moment. And ask yourself this, can you love her without needing to be felt by her? Because the man who can never truly loses her. Sometimes, silence isn't distance, it's gravity pulling your weakness out of hiding. And when she stops responding, you'll see, the man who doesn't chase becomes the mystery she can't ignore. Point number 2, curiosity hooks her, certainty kills it. Have you ever sent that long message full of honesty, clarity, even a little vulnerability, and felt proud, until she left it unread? Not ignored with malice, just neutralized, as if your clarity killed her interest. That's the paradox no one warns you about. The more certain you make her feel, the less she needs to keep feeling anything. In your world, clarity is respect. In hers, clarity ends the game. Certainty kills curiosity, and without curiosity, emotional gravity dies. You gave her what you thought was masculine honesty, but you gave it too soon, too complete. You left nothing for her imagination to chase, no gaps to fill, no silence to interpret. You gave her resolution, when she was still addicted to mystery. That's the part most men never see. We're conditioned to explain, to define where this is going, to prove we're trustworthy. But in the realm of female psychology, emotional clarity too early equals emotional closure. She's not pulling back because you said something wrong. She's pulling back because you left her nothing to wonder about. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And in dating, that freedom means resisting the urge to define yourself too early. The brave man isn't the one who overshares. It's the man who can stand in silence, unlabeled, unfazed, unknown, and still remain grounded. You see, women don't fall for clarity. They fall for emotional control, for tension held with grace, for a man who can leave questions unanswered and not flinch. That is Stoic detachment in the digital age. In ancient Rome, a Stoic wouldn't reveal his full thoughts to the crowd, not out of secrecy, but out of control. To speak everything was to give everything. To give everything was to lose leverage. Now translate that to texting her today. You show your hand too early, you lose your frame. Do you offer complete certainty too fast? You remove her emotional engagement. Curiosity is the invisible string between you. And your masculine frame is what keeps it taut. Let it go slack. She drifts. Pull it too tight. She snaps it. So how do you hold it? You don't explain. You don't reveal motives. You don't overinvest in response. You leave a touch of confusion, not as manipulation, but as emotional discipline. You speak less than you feel. You say just enough to spark thought, never enough to close the loop. Because the modern man who understands relationship power dynamics doesn't chase connection. He builds gravity, slowly, quietly, invisibly. Your silence is not emptiness, it's pressure. It forces her to lean in, to wonder, to interpret, and that curiosity, that's how attraction breathes. You don't win her through performance. You pull her through the void she can't explain. So the next time you feel the urge to clarify your intentions, to prove your heart, to explain yourself in paragraphs, pause. Ask yourself, are you doing this to express or to reassure? Because a man who needs to reassure will never feel her genuine desire. Let her wonder where you stand, long enough to feel where she leans. And when you can stand in that space without reaching, you become the riddle she wants to solve. The ones who speak too much are forgotten fast. Now, here's what separates the ones who hold tension from the ones who collapse under it. Point number 3. The man who doesn't chase attracts. Have you ever noticed how the more you reach out, the more she slips away? Like the act of caring becomes repellent. Like every effort to show up, to be present, to do the right thing somehow backfires. And suddenly you're left questioning everything. Was I too soft? Too available? No, you chased. And in the laws of female psychology, chasing isn't pursuit, it's surrender. You didn't offer value. You offered yourself as if she were the prize. Most men live in this invisible trap, taught to initiate, taught to prove worth. But no one told you this. Women don't fall for the man who explains. They fall for the man they can't predict. The man who doesn't chase, but still pulls her in. That's not a mystery. That's masculine control. Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control, and her affection. Her reply, her effort, those are not yours to control. Your only job? Hold your center. Offer your presence, not your pursuit. Stoics in ancient times didn't run toward approval. They didn't react to absence. They stood still in the storm, unmoved by praise, untouched by rejection. Because they understood. Movement toward what doesn't move toward. You as weakness disguised as love. In today's world, chasing isn't physical, it's digital. The double text, the late night just checking in, the memes, the reach outs, the energy, and every time she doesn't mirror it, something in you shrinks. Not because she's rejecting you, but because you're rejecting yourself. When you chase, you place her above your value as a man. You trade your stoic silence for cheap attention, and she senses it instantly. That you've made her your source of certainty, that your emotional gravity depends on her warmth. But the man who doesn't chase, he's not cold. He's focused. He values his energy. He doesn't offer access, he allows it. And that difference flips the entire relationship power dynamic. Because when she realizes you don't need her response, she questions her silence. Stoic detachment isn't pretending not to care. It's knowing you could lean in. But choosing stillness, it's feeling the pull and not moving. Because silence isn't the absence of emotion, it's the presence of control. So next time your phone stays quiet, don't fill the gap. Don't reach for the fix. Breathe, sit in discomfort, let the urge burn and die. You don't chase because you're weak. You don't chase because you remember who you are. Because the man who remains still becomes the anchor, and the world always returns to the anchor. So when you feel the silence pulling at your ego, tempting you to prove something, ask yourself this: if I do nothing, will she forget me? Or will she finally feel me? Because stillness leaves a mark that movement never can. And now you'll see why women test through silence more than they ever do with words. Now you see it, don't you? She reads your needs through the screen. She loses attraction when you give her too much certainty, and she only feels your presence when you no longer chase hers. This wasn't about texting. It was about power. Your internal power. Your stoic detachment in a world designed to unravel you. Every unanswered message, every cold hug, every shift in tone, it was never rejected. It was the battlefield. And your reactions were the real test. Most men fail, not because they're too emotional, but because they place their value in the wrong hands. They crave clarity instead of command. They seek validation instead of vision. They chase women instead of mastering self. But you're not most men. But you're not most men. You've just been given the truth few are ever willing to face. Stillness creates gravity. Silence holds more tension than speech. And the man who moves least moves her the most. In every text, every pause, every interaction, you're either leaking value or anchoring it. So the next time you want to double text, prove yourself, or break the silence just to feel seen, don't! Because the man who can hold the void without breaking is the man she can't forget. If you're done playing the emotional game blind, subscribe to Stoic Truth. This is where men come to reclaim their minds, their worth, and their mission. No gimmicks, no sugarcoating. Just pure surgical insight for men who lead with stillness, strength, and sovereign clarity. Your emotions are tools, not chains. Use them with power, or be used by them forever. The choice is yours, but only one makes you untouchable. And she'll feel it long before you say a word.